Alright, good morning ladies and gentlemen on this wonderful Wednesday morning, May 20th, 2020. Now today we're going to continue to talk about game theory and about applying mathematical principles to choices and to their consequences. Now, one thing I do want to preface to this is the assumption that we can assign mathematical values to any sort of choice and its consequence, because that is kind of the basis of, at least a little bit of the basis of game theory that we're talking about. Any sort of contest or any sort of thing that allows for a person's input, you can assign a mathematical value to, which means you can, for lack of a better term, value it compared to other choices. But this one's another fun game that involves a lot of deep thinking. You are randomly selected to participate in a contest for $5 million. So I kind of upped the ante. Normally you see the motorcycle contest for $1 million, but I think $5 million sounds a little bit better. Not participating in the televised contest is not an option. So you're randomly selected. Consider this to be some sort of dystopian future where somebody comes up to the door and says, hey, you've been selected to participate in this contest and there's no way you can't participate in it. The contest is simple. You and opponent are going to get on motorcycles and race towards each other as fast as possible. The identity of your opponent does not matter, so whoever your opponent is, it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is you. The first person to slow down or stop or turn away loses the $5 million. So it's basically the condition, the premise of this contest. You're starting over here, your opponent starts over here, you race towards each other as fast as possible. Race towards each other as fast as possible. The first person to change directions or the first person to stop loses. So, some good conditions of the contest. Remember, if you slow down or turn the bike, you lose the $5 million, and the same applies to them, obviously. To make it fair, if it applies to you, it has to apply to them. If you both don't turn or slow down, you're gonna collide. So it's not like, oh, I'm just gonna keep on going, I'm not gonna stop. Obviously, if you collide with somebody on a motorcycle going 70, 80, 90 miles an hour, it's going to be a very bad consequence. Before the race starts, you're taken to meet your opponent in front of a camera for 1 minute, because if it's not televised, then what's the point of doing it? What can you do, such say, with your opponent that will maximize your chances of success? Now, the condition is you cannot harm your opponent or his bike. So, this is 1 minute that you have in order to do something to your opponent, or say something with your opponent that maximizes your chance of success. Keyword on that: maximize. Just kind of like what we've had with Monday and Tuesday, there is no such thing as a guarantee for success. Because when you deal with opponent choices, or you deal with things that you cannot control, you can't guarantee success. You can only, apologize, there's something wrong with my glasses or something. You can only maximize your chances of success. You can't guarantee them. So, definitely remember this condition, and these are gonna be our two choices: slow down or turn your bike. So, let's consider the options and consequences of this game. Let's assign some actual math here. If we have and obviously you have your choices, you have your opponent's choices. And let's say it's slow down or don't slow down. And slow down or don't slow down. Now the ones down here are obviously your choices, one over there are your choices. Let's consider the one where you both don't slow down, because we know what's going to happen there. It said, oh, you're going to collide, and you'll die. So for this, I'm going to put a little skull there, a little cartoonish skull there. And this can be seen as you both get nothing. Because if both people die, they don't have to pay any money, which is, you know, probably the best course of action for them. For you, it's probably the worst course of action. Now, if they slow down and you don't slow down, you get 5 million. Now, if you slow down and they don't slow down, you lose the 5 million. Now, if you both slow down, if we consider that one small possibility that you both slow down, you both get nothing. There we go. I think that's it. There's a hair or something. Alright, so these are our options and their consequences. If you slow down, or you don't slow down, well, okay, the only options we can get are 0, positive 5, negative 5, and death. Now, if we look at these, the only winning move, or the only winning option, is this. One where we don't slow down, but they do slow down. But if we also look at this, that only happens 1/4 of the time. 2/4 of the time, and I could simplify that, but I'm not considering. I want to consider whether all the options keep it even. 2/4 of the time, you lose. Like, you lose big. And 1/4 of the time, you would consider that you break even. Now, those aren't good odds. Now, when it comes to talking to your opponent or doing something with your opponent, and that 1 minute that you have next to them, you have to maximize this chance of success. Do something that says, hey, this 1/4 is going to be a whole lot better, or it's going to be a whole lot bigger compared to what you have previously. Now, one thing we want to consider is saying something to your opponent is completely futile. Saying something to your opponent is useless. Because I've done this experiment with kids before. I haven't done the contest, but I've done the experiment with kids before. And they were like, oh, you just tell the person you're not going to stop. Well, one, anything that you say, you can say it, but does that mean that the person is going to believe it? If the person says, oh, I'm not going to stop, so you better stop. Well, does your opponent believe you? They have no reason to believe you. And if you say it, whether or not they believe you, could they also repeat that back to you? If you say, oh, hey, I'm not going to stop, I'm not going to stop, they can say, oh, hey, I'm not going to stop. It's like, well, if you don't stop, you're going to die. And the other person can say, well, if you don't stop, you're going to die. And so, really, saying anything is kind of useless. Like, there's nothing you can say that can convince your opponent. Even the option of like, oh, I'm going to split the money with you. Well, the person can really just copy by saying, no, if you stop, I'm going to split the money with you. And even if you do stop, there's no way to really guarantee that they will split the money. So just talking is useless. And so it really comes down to, what can you do? we know the condition, you can't do anything to your opponent or his bike. And so really affecting them is not on the table. When we do something like this, you really have to consider, alright, I'm stuck in a no-win situation. Or I'm stuck in a situation, if I'm playing by someone else's rules, it's bad. So when you're stuck in a situation of, okay, what can I do? Change the rules. If you're stuck in a situation like this, your best option is change the rules. Made a much bigger one. This is going to be stop, don't stop, stop, don't stop. And we know what the values for these are. So, and probably death. And so, the one thing you want to do and change the rules is remove your break. Now you might say, hey, Mr. K, what does removing your break have to do? Well, if you remove your break, doesn't that change the rules for you? If you remove your break, what can you not do? You can't slow down. You can turn, but you can't slow down. And if you remove your break, well, guess what? It sends a message to your opponent like, hey, this person cannot slow down, which means they're going to choose most likely not to turn. So for you, takes this option and gets rid of it. So it removes the choice it removes your choice from the game. It's no longer about what do you choose. It's about what does your opponent choose. Your opponent can only choose to, from their perspective, lose the 5 million or die. That's the only choice. Your opponent goes from 1/4 winning, because your opponent not the same as you, right? They go from 1/4 winning to literally a 0 chance of winning. Because if you can't slow down, if you can't turn, there's no way for your opponent to win the game of chicken. The only option that they can do is break even. Now, breaking even results in death, and your opponent most likely does not want to die. So at the very final possible moment, you remove the brake on your bike. And that doesn't break the rules of the game. It says you couldn't do anything to your opponent's bike. It doesn't say you can't do anything to yours. So, ladies and gentlemen, remove your own brake. Change the rules of the game. It might sound like a broken record, but this is like the permanent prisoner's dilemma. It's not a guaranteed system. While removing the brake maximizes your chances of winning, it doesn't guarantee it. Your opponent could have a death wish, or your opponent could do it out of spite and just want to kill you. But because we know this math, we can use game theory to change the rules of situations. If you are stuck in a no-win situation, the best thing you can do is change the rules. And by using mathematics to mapping values to choices, wins, losses, numerical values, it maximizes what your odds are and makes your odds better. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to cut off now. Hope you all have yourself a wonderful Wednesday. Bye.